look, we got 2% gap up and we rolled like 3% into the close yesterday. You're at the top of the Bollinger Bands, but you're not really like terribly extended. So this is like a tricky spot. I think this will be a tricky spot today. There is, at least for myself, we have like zero instances where there's like a 2-3% gap in the market and anybody ends up profitable on the day. And if you ever notice in the history of our chat room, the days that we usually get slaughtered, most people get slaughtered, is on these big gap up days. Because you end up having to chase something and then it dips a little bit, you're skittish, and then you sell it, and then it kind of grinds higher. And then you end up in this slippery slope where you buy high, sell low, buy high, sell low. And before you know it, like you've just taken like these small paper cuts to your nuts. And, it's like, okay, you took a paper cut to your nuts. And you're like, ooh, the tingles. But then the next one happens. And then the next one happens. And before you know it, your ball sack is like this big, bloody mess of a tangerine it's very, it's not pleasant. So you got to be real careful today. Hey, Abe, you have access to the actual chat room. Why do you always pop into this YouTube thing? Just go to the chat room. Good. So just be mindful today. You are at the top of the Bollinger Band. You're a little bit overbought. You're on gap up on the day 3. Gap up on the day 1, day 2 is okay. But the gap up on day 3 is a little bit trickier. Now, look, there's no indication of the price action that the market's going to have like some big nasty fade or anything like that. I don't really expect it either. But it is just fucking hard to trade big gap up days because the range is up. So if you look at like all these stocks, right, they're up like 10%. The only thing you can do is wait for the first pull, see if it holds, and then you end up seeing if you can have some fun. Now on the other side, there is probably going to be a whole host of PR stuff, though. We're in the midst of earnings season, so we can always trade like things that are not going to have anything to do with the general market, but that just have stuff to do, right, with their own PRs and stuff. And you saw that yesterday, right? There was a whole host of like small caps and random shit just flying around all day. So, I think that's probably, we're going to dive deep into the turds today because those will at least just kind of do what they want. So you can see here, genus to penis is going. All right, genus of penis. This one fades off every time it pops. I pass. CVNA is going into this big squeeze. You're on day 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And guys, by the way, you usually have like 1 or 2 days in a week where you're going to make like a good chunk of your money. So, obviously yesterday there was a lot of range and stuff. So those days, like you have to pack it in deep, because today, like it'll be, because yesterday was pretty much a flat day in the market. So then you had all that access to all that upside, so now like you really want to chase this thing up 30%. These things can squeeze more than you think. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing, kind of squeeze into this zone over time. If you're on day 5 of the movement, if something's up 30%, like what are you going to do with it? You're going to have to be a lot more careful. So, we'll watch it. But we got to be careful on it. BBY declared bankruptcy, therefore it's starting to go up. So that's like, Meta, look, this had earnings out today too. Probably going to be, we got to watch it just because like it's going to impact the markets. But my guess is there's not going to be a huge dipsy do dunkaroo kind of action on this. When you're up 20% and the float's like 2.5 billion, you're going to have to wait for like a decent sized pull to get that thing going. If it pulls, we'll watch it, but I think, oftentimes on stocks like Meta, it's the second day, the day after the earnings, where things are a little bit easier to trade. Also, like your charts get a little bit compressed and like when you have such a big gap, so it ends up being a little bit tricky. Wait for a pull, but I think it'll be probably tomorrow that'll be a little bit more tradable. This is nice, but this is going to need a pull. Keep an alert somewhere between the 50-day moving average and this breakout spot here, this gap spot. If it pulls, like this is up 17% too, but this is top of the list. We want to look for names that are probably going to have some instance of like high short interest. So you want to kind of look into like these beaten down names that still have some shorts left in it. Now, any website that talks about short interest, you can't really trust it because it only updates a couple times a month, and it's been like 2 weeks of running anyway, so you don't really know how much shorts are left. Like we've already been running, so if by the time this all updates, you'll probably see like some of these stocks with CVNA that were like 80-90% short. Like they may have almost minimal in them already because they've already started to cover. So we'll have to be a little bit careful with some of this kind of stuff. I like this kind of name. This thing's a turn and probably over time goes to zero, but for this nice kind of squeeze into this, like you can see the 200-day moving average is not till 60, right? So these are the kind of names that we want to really play. ALGN, man, that's a big move for a company that usually does not make big moves. 50 points, its ATR is like 13. I'd probably take a pass on something like that. FNGU, so these are your FANG stocks. You can see how extended this stuff is. These are all ETFs. Now, we may, with CVNA like really popping up, you may start to see a little bit of action in some of these kind of meme. I don't understand why they don't just call it meme instead of meme, right? It's a meme. This sounds better too. I'd keep an alert here about 630, 635. I think even, GME is like started to, right? You've got like a little bit of a base here. These things are big turns and they haven't moved at all, but you may catch a little bit of I think you may catch a little bit of a bid on some of these. I like the overall look of this one too. You see all the shit's gapping. Look at this stuff. All right, let's take a look. I got a list of kind of squeezers and stuff. You can see. So the squeezers list that we've been kind of working off, it's like all of it is already starting to gap up. This vroom, right? This is kind of runs with the CVNA. Like you're starting to see. I bungled this fucking trade. I have so many of this thing for a swing trade. APRN. These are like I consistently run like a refresh on this. I would take this list, put a high of day condition on it, 1% below high of day. Refresh it like every minute. And then keep it on the side. Let that thing refresh. You'll start to see like which ones are starting to percolate, marinate, matriculate, masturbate, whatever you want to call it. This thing is, we want to see all these. We want to see which ones out of the cheapies start to move. You can run even a secondary like conditional. You could probably run a conditional scan using maybe even mixed time frames. So you could do high of day scanner / you could probably put in a VWAP bounce kind of move too. So you would put in like maybe, let's do this. And or pull back over 5 VWAP 5-minute price through the VWAP 5-minute. Probably go pull back. History. Let me change this around. Good. So you run something secondary like this, so now you're kind of running multiple conditions. Okay, stock that's within 1%. You could actually, from smaller names, we should change that condition to 2%. So stocks that are either within 2% of HODs or stocks that are pulling back into the VUF that have already popped multiple percent and that are matriculating back into the VUF. So you can kind of go like a double. You can double toss that thing, and that should be run this on like a handful of the list. Look, if you hit this, then you can just go back to the general list and use this like sort functions here to get into this. But there's a whole host of these. Like, see this WeWork. This is really nice, right? DM. We've been looking at this one for quite some time. You may even see them. I like this. Man, I was thinking hot yesterday was going to be hot, but you see here a little bit of a pullback on something like that is going to be nice. You want to find the ones that are just like just starting to come out of base. This mango's a pumping though. Take this off. See, like Rivian, I think we had Nicola. Hey, keep an alert. This one's a little bit more turdy, but keep an alert on this birds. This is like, I think this is like this people that do like they leave those like little scooter things like in the cities. You can just kind of cruise around in them. Only in the hipster cities, but you know what I'm talking about here. Leave an alert on that bad boy. Hold on, I gotta fluff some coffee. Give me a second. Kids, see the skills? These are the kind of names we want to. $0.85. I think out of these little cheapies, skills, this WeWork, probably going to be, these are good spots. Make sure you detach and put the scan on. Make sure you detach and put the scan on so you can roll through for the rest of the day so you at least know what's moving around. Hey, Sean, what's going on? I actually, I think this W is like a really good day trader. I'd just be careful chasing it up. Like I'd hit this on only a pull today, just because like you're getting really like you're $10 away from your nearest kind of support level, pivot levels here. So you just got to be a little bit careful. This could be one of those things where you get like one more thrust through and, it starts to pull. I know, DMAC. I do like this IQ too. If it holds this 7.5, you just got to be a little bit careful on this one. Let's wait for the pulls on the market, then we'll see what the fuck is going on here. And hey, this one is not too extended yet. Keep an eye on this trend line break on XPath. This thing I think could party like a little bit at the open. If the market doesn't fade its gap, people are going to look for probably names that haven't moved at all yet, because like, what are you really going to do? You're not going to chase up like some greasy Facebook or whatever they call it, Meta, right? At $185. I think some of these names like XPEV and some of these little things that are like still in consolidation, that's where people will start to pick things off. I think a red to green on AMD is probably in the cards. Yeah, keep that. Red to green on Peloton. This hasn't gapped up. I think we keep that too. Yeah, it's already kind of creepily good. Blink, I like. Put an alert at 1470. You got a base breakout setting up here. This is also one of the handful of names that hasn't moved. They actually have a decent amount of shorts in this one. I doubt any of them have covered because it actually hasn't squeezed enough yet. Pin Gaming earnings, Elf Nation. Let me see how. These kind of names are a little bit thin. Like, see, like how just small the candles are. It's more of a swing stock. Like, it's just something you can't really day trade. So you got to be a little bit careful on something like that. Blank, we keep. BuzzFeed's a turd. Baidu's a 10. Yeah, we gotta be so careful. This thing wants 20, but like you really want to step in front of this, trying to chase this thing. I'd rather wait for a fade. Hey, look, if we need a short, we're getting real greasy on this one. We're almost straight vertical, and you can see there's like a level here to kind of play against. You know, on a longer term basis, this is like a really nice chart, right? And you got like volume accumulation stuff. On a short term basis, if the market fades its gap, oh, thank you, Jay. I didn't know that. It may not matter. Usually, like once the market starts to turn, any gap downs on bad news actually get bought up. I think this is where I think we got to short this. We may have to short the open for a hot second, then we'll see what the pullback does. If we short the open, I think we slide into this one and we take it down. Hey, by the way, Soberhead had a little bit of a push yesterday, but I would still consider this an inside day. 195. Yeah. This me gusta. That's Spanish for I like for you heathens out there. This I like. 195. I like. We short the open if we see the setup. What we got to do is once the queue's open, go to a shorter time frame. If you see the roll, we take it for a hot second. When the market pulls back into the EMAs, if it starts to build at a level that we like, 9 EMA, 20 EMA, some level of price, if it starts to hold, we flip it back long, and then we see what the fuck is going on. That's all you can do. Big gap up day. I warn you guys at the open, just because you see the market hot does not mean it's an easy day. Usually in a hot market, weak opens, red opens, flat opens, small gaps. We have playbooks for all of this stuff. They become very, very tricky when you get a big gap. So we got to be careful. Now, there's two types of plays out there, right? You have macro plays. Macro plays follow the QQQs. If you're trading tech stocks, right, they follow the QQQs. But then you have your earnings plays, your PR plays. Those are probably going to move around regardless to what's happening in the market. So if you have trouble reading the market indexes, right, then your focus should be on earnings plays because you don't have to read the market indexes. I noticed I was talking to a couple of people in our chat room that were having a little bit of trouble trading lately. And it was like they were just sitting there trading these market specific plays. All their plays were like in, NVIDIA, Tesla, so on and so forth. They're just following around the markets, and they're missing all the easier earnings plays out there. So you just got to be kind of a little bit mindful of that. Hey, Asif, what's up, my brown brother? You ain't Indian, but you still pretty cool. I would say more like a first cousin. What's going on? Yeah, keep an eye on this thing. Probably 370. It's also had a whole host of different news pieces out here. Just don't chase it up at the open. I think you'll be good to go. This is the list. I'm sticking to it. Remember, here, keep this list of squeezers too. Keep this list of squeezers too. Out of this list, I think the ones that are ready to fuck is going to be probably WeWork, APRN, the ones that haven't gone yet. Bird is the word. Skills Nation. Man, who doesn't want to hop on the Skills website, play mahjong with some nice lady in Okinawa over a cup of kimchi and green teas? That just sounds like a magical day, right? So get yourself on some skills, get yourself on that Skills website, help an old lady have some fun. Let's do this. That's the list. I'm sticking to it. I'll be in the boom boom room. Man, I traded to close yesterday. You guys got lucky. I never do that. You guys got lucky. Now, today I leave at lunch. I'm trading all day for hoes. Later, D-Mac. Let's go do what we do, which is the do. Let's get this musica going on, man. We got to get that musica going on. Remember, put a high-end day scanner and the VWAP condition on your list. Refresh it every minute and then detach it. What the fuck? What the fuck? All right, let's go do what we do.